David Hogue is my Gary Nelson. That's right. He's the majority leader in the North Dakota Senate, which means he's the boss, which means that you got to look out, which means that you got to behave when you're around him. All of those things, which I didn't always accomplish, David, but good to have you on News and Views again with us.
I heard about that. There's some Senate folklore that, that Heitkamp.
If you didn't make it some fun, it got to be way too bad a place to work. So, David, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I know you got a special session ahead of you, so appreciate you taking the time. Want to talk to you a little bit about legislative management and what you just went through in terms of choosing what bills to go forward and what bills not.
Sure.
Tell me what your criteria was as a senator. What were you looking for?
Well, Joel, I had two criteria. Is number one, is this a issue or proposal that can't wait until our regular session in January 2027? And if it can't, what are the consequences of not acting sooner? In other words, not passing legislation that the governor would sign into law on an expedited basis. And so that was my two criteria. They're related, and they're similar, but they're not the same. And so I'm looking for why can't it wait, and what happens what are the consequences if we do wait. And so that's the prism through which I looked at the 20 bills that were presented to us on Monday.
On these very airways, the governor said that the reason he called the special session was first and foremost because of Kratom. Is that what you're looking at? Is that your focus this session, and everything else is an add-on?
It is my focus. I'm grateful to the governors for highlighting what's going on with Kratom, because it's certainly an issue that I think has sort of ballooned out of control in the past couple of years, as the manufacturers of this product have been increasing the dosage, packaging the products in a way that appeals to young people. And I'm just blown away by the amount of use out there of this unregulated, addictive product.
When you look at it, you have to ask, okay, I know there's been a lot of talk about deaths in relation to it, but, you have, and you and I both understand, emergency powers once you do kick into session. You can get a bill through the power that you have, David, pretty quick, and you can put it on the governor's desk and make it a law pretty quick. Not everything has to be a law August 1st. And so, special sessions cost money. They cost a lot of money to do. Do you believe that the time between basically Labor Day and New Year's Day was so vital to have this done in that it just simply couldn't wait?
Yeah, that's a question we get once in a while. The cost of a special session, Joel, is between $150,000 and $170,000, depending on a number of variables. How many people attend virtually, but absolutely, it's worth it. I mean, we started hearing stories about fatalities in the northwest part of the state, in oil country. We've agreed to go into special session. We've been hearing, and they're all anecdotal reports, but it's somebody who has got a young person who's addicted to Kratom, or somebody who's had a serious, not just a fatality, but serious health problems related to Kratom usage, because it is an addictive substance. And we've heard from a number of ER physicians that said, hey, if you guys go into session and deal with this, make sure you deal with the problems from withdrawal from using this drug, because it is like it's like coming off some of the opiates. It's pretty hard to do, and there's consequences from withdrawal as well. And so, people always want to talk about the cost of a special session. It's not a significant factor when you're talking about the safety of all the young people in particular who are using this substance in an unregulated environment.
What's the goal here, David? I mean, is the goal, Senator, to ban all synthetics? Is it to ban kratom, period? I mean, you still get a vote. I mean, you're still in one
Yeah,
of those chairs where 47
yeah.
people are going to push a button. I mean, what do you want the end product to be?
Well, my belief at this point is that we should ban all kratom, natural and synthetic, until we get into the regular session. The bill drafts that we forwarded, however, one is to ban all synthetic forms of kratom, and the second bill is simply to regulate with sort of time, place, and age restrictions natural kratom. And I don't know which direction the legislature will choose, but if you ask me what my preference is, I would vote to ban it all at this point.
Okay. Um, when you look at this, I have to ask the question, and you're in the Senate, which is the upper chamber, the wiser body. There,
There you
stuck up for the old
yeah.
gang, right? Uh,
Yeah, good job.
but this was in the House, and I know you work quite well with the Speaker of the House, the Majority Leader of the House. So let me ask this: didn't you guys all drop the ball? I mean, shouldn't this have been done during the regular session because it was brought before you?
Well, Joel, as you know, I don't sit around and assign blame for what when people perceive that there've been mistakes made. I'm not the Monday morning quarterback. I try to be the Sunday afternoon quarterback. When I see new information, I evaluate my prior decisions and I make decisions off the new information I've been given. And that's been my advice and my request for juries when I try lawsuits in my other career is don't make up your mind until you see all of the evidence. Well, now we see additional evidence of serious health problems that have been going on in the state of North Dakota the past 18 months. And I'm going to take that new information and I'm going to react. And I'm not going to worry about decisions that have been made in the past. So I'm not going to go down the road of trying to say, okay, should we have done it back in a session ago, 18 months ago? I don't know. I don't worry about things like that.
Okay, well then let me ask you this: you're out having breakfast in Minot, and somebody comes up to you and says, Senator, alcohol's incredibly addictive and it kills people. So are cigarettes. Why aren't you focusing then on them as much as what you are on kratom?
Well, because kratom presently is unregulated in any manner. There's no age restrictions. There's no dosage restrictions. There's no restrictions on who can sell it. There's no monitoring on who. If your package says this kratom seltzer has 75 milligrams of kratom, nobody's even monitoring whether that's true. And now we're getting reports through various state agencies, including the Attorney General's office, that the dosage that they're advertising on the packages isn't checking out in the lab. So it's it's an addictive substance. But the reason we're focusing on it is it's completely unregulated.
Well, it seems to me that if you can leave there with nothing else other than banning the synthetic, you've done a good job in terms of kratom. I wish it would have been done, obviously, during the session, as most people would. But I understand in speaking to the governor and yourself why, at the very least, synthetic can't even really be a debate. If you can't get that through, then you've got a problem, and I doubt you do when it comes to it. Let me ask you this. A couple other issues. There are a lot of people that have been calling me Senator Hogue, and by the way, that's who's joined us, is Senator David Hogue. He's the majority leader in the North Dakota Senate, that say that the big drive behind this special session is the mess that the state of North Dakota is in when it comes to the military gallery, when it comes to the lack of funds to advance and move forward on the military gallery, which construction has begun on, now construction has shut down on, and now construction penalties are being paid on. And so there's a lot of people who believe that is the reason you're getting together. I want to give you a chance to speak to that.
No, I don't think it is. I mean, I think it's. I'll give you the history of the now 3 special sessions that I've been served as the leader. Typically, the governor decides that, hey, there's an issue that I want to call you into special session. It is something I don't think can wait. And so once he issues that letter, he confers with us about convenient dates. He says, this is what I would like you guys to consider. What we did on Monday, as you heard, is legislative management then gets together and says, hey, are there other subjects that are appropriate for us to consider in a special session that can't wait? And the military museum rose to the top. And that's because, as you indicated, right now we're in breach of our agreements to construct that $78 million facility. And there are significant penalties that accrue as we continue our default on those two agreements. And so it just makes sense to say, all right, is there a way for the state of North Dakota to mitigate its penalties and losses in the special session? And there are. And I've sponsored a bill to say, let's extend the line of credit to the agency so that construction can continue. We don't pay the penalties. We don't have to. The worst thing that could happen is that we would have to rebid the project. And we've gotten some pretty good bids. It's a $78 million project, but the total, including all the change orders to date, it looks like it could come in at $74.5 million. So it's just too much cost and too much risk not to allow funding to go forward. Now, I realize there'll be time for people to have some measure of accountability and assign some fault, and that process can go on outside the legislative arena. I'm fine with that. But representing the state of North Dakota, what we have to do is fix the problem and mitigate our losses.
Well, but okay, count me in with the I'm outside the arena. Let me ask you this. Why should North Dakotans have to do this? They were promised something. They didn't get something. You're stuck with the bar tab, and now you got to pay it. I mean, if I were anyone in that chamber, I'd be looking at this whole project and saying, why? Why are we as North Dakotans being left holding the bag here?
Well, I wouldn't describe it that way. I mean, it's a state-owned military museum. It's on state-owned land. It's going to be run by a state agency. It is to honor the military service of our veterans, and it's something we've decided to do 2 sessions ago. And so when you say the state is holding the bag, the state could have just as easily decided, hey, just like the Heritage Center, we're going to build this on the state capitol grounds so that we can honor and
But Senator,
and
we didn't.
service.
We didn't. I mean, we didn't decide that. What we decided was there's going to be a cost share. We began construction without the money in hand to make sure that we had that cost share to make sure that construction didn't shut down, which means, and a little bit later, Shannon Schweigert's going to join us to speak to this. But the point I'm trying to raise is I don't build something unless I know I got the money to build it. And in this particular case, you didn't have the money to build it. And so, yeah, the benefit, absolutely great. I'm 100% with you there. But this thing has been mismanaged. Can we at least agree on that?
Well, we can agree that the construction project hasn't proceeded in a manner that I hoped it would proceed. But again, you're not going to get me to bite on the idea that we should start, casting blame here, there, or anywhere. I'm interested in protecting the interests of the state of North Dakota, and I'm convinced that means that you proceed with construction to avoid the extensive costs that will result from delaying construction and losing contractors and putting on a temporary roof and mobilizing and demobilizing contractors and continuing to pay builder's risk and all of those other costs that are going to accrue to the project because we're sitting around worrying about who's at fault and not fixing the problem.
Senator, you'd have my vote on that. I give you my word. You would have my vote because, quite frankly, we'd have no other choice. We'd have no
Right.
other choice but to do it, and I agree with you on that. My point is, I think the general public deserves a right to know why. Why the people in North Dakota have to do that. And I think that that's a conversation I'll have with Mr. Schwagert as well. I'll be out there for part of the special session.
Good.
I look forward to it. I do mean this with all sincerity. I appreciate the time that you give us, and it's always good, frank, honest conversation. Appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it too, Joel.
You bet.
You stop in the Senate, we'll give you as much recognition as we can.
That scares the heck out of me. I'm not going to lie to you, Senator
Well,
David.
it's a good tradition.
You bet.